What is up, everybody? Joe Sib here with my co-host,
Anaya Bogue.
Welcome to Rad Parenting. We've got a great show for you today from an experience that happened to me this weekend. It's not even like 48 hours old, I think.
I find like sometimes those are our best shows, Joe.
Well, you know
Thank
what?
goodness you're out in the world.
The two best shows that we ever get are when we get emails from our listeners.
Yep.
Which, by the way, from our show, I believe last week, Separation Anxiety, we got a great email from the woman that wrote to us.
Yay.
Do you mind if I read it? Because I just felt
I
like
want to hear it.
I felt for everyone else listening to the show that you get to see it full circle. We did a show based on a question from from a woman that was having a problem getting her daughter to school.
Right.
She would have a meltdown.
Yep.
It was hard for her to leave.
Afraid to be away from her mommy.
Yeah, there you
Yep.
go. You remember the show.
Yeah.
So check it out. She wrote this, and I got it this morning, and I felt like I should read it before we started our show today. Anaya and Joe, thank you so much. I loved the episode. I'm so glad I reached out to you guys because you brought up stuff that never even crossed my mind. So far this school year's drop-offs have been pretty good, but not great. And then in quotations, yet. She's no longer totally freaking out or causing a scene. I think she matured quite a bit over the summer. She does tell me from time to time that she just doesn't want me to leave, and I reassure that everything will be fine, and it is. After hearing the episode, I truly think that our problem may be just the anxiety of being rushed. She has a hard time getting out of bed. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
And is never excited about getting dressed and having breakfast, and there's very little time for playing or goofing around. Starting tomorrow, I'm going to get her up 10 minutes earlier so we can have a quick playtime and see if that helps. Thanks again for all your help. You guys are the best.
That is freaking awesome.
Thank you so much, Missy.
Yeah, and Missy, thank you for taking, because she could have just been like, oh, this is awesome, blah, 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 but thank you. I think this is what fuels us and makes us keep wanting to do the show.
I got to tell you, it is. It is because, like I say, over the last couple of weeks, never anticipated that the show would have the impact that it does, which, like I always say, gives me anxiety because I'm like, wow, people are listening to what I have to say about parenting, which is even funnier because I was at a party. You know, it just reminded me of this. It was like a dinner party, and there was all these parents there, and they were talking about parenting. They were, having all these conversations about it, and I was just sitting on the sidelines, and Karen just kept looking at me, and I'm like, what? And she was giving me a look like, jump in on this. Like, come on. Like, because Karen always wants to, let people know that you and I do Rad Parenting. She's like, she should be like our manager. She's a great, she comes up with a lot of the show ideas.
Yeah.
She's really into it. But which you and I both try to get her on the show, and she
will not do it. No.
Remember the other day
She's
when
a
she walked?
behind-the-scenes person.
Yeah.
Yep.
But anyway, at this dinner, these people were all talking, and then Karen's like looking at me like, come on, jump in, Rad Parenting. And then finally, I kind of started to talk, and then Karen said, well, Joe co-hosts a parenting podcast, and you should have seen the look on all these people's faces. I mean, they just looked at me like, yeah, right.
Poor Joe.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, cool. And what are you gonna do at that point? I think even one of the parents at the table said, "You host a parenting podcast?"
Stop.
I swear. And then I said, "Well, I host it with Anaya Bogue. She's super, super smart." And she, "Oh, really? Okay, yeah, that makes sense." And I was just like, "Okay, great."
Wow.
Yeah. So with all that said, thank you all so much for the emails. Keep them coming. radparenting@gmail.com. That's the best way to get in touch with us and let us know what's on your mind, what you're thinking about to be on the show. Over the next couple of weeks, we got some great guests coming on. Jeff Blue, comedian.
Nice.
He's from Denver. He's in Los Angeles. I know his publicist, and he will be on the show. I believe he has 2 daughters. I want to say he might have written a book too.
Nice.
We'll find out more about that.
Very
He's
exciting.
super, super funny. He won Last Comic Standing. And just a great story with him. Also, we have a friend of ours that teaches in Portland, and her name is Sarah. Do you remember her last name?
I do not.
I cannot pronounce it.
And you know what? Her last name is so irrelevant when you see this woman's resume. What she brings to the table is
Cancer survivor.
There's so many things. When I read her resume, I was just like, oh my gosh, like we could do 5 shows just with this woman going in different directions.
And the best thing about it was her and I connected because she teaches in Portland. She does a history of like rock music with women.
Nice.
So it's everything from the Riot Girl act, just everything, all of the singers, songwriters, everything. And she's amazing. And I met her from doing comedy when I was up in Portland.
Very nice.
So pretty excited to have her on the show. Other things of business. You're getting ready to go to Guatemala.
I am, yeah.
10 days you go.
I'm going to be gone for 10 days to go and visit my program there, which I try to do it usually at least once a year. This is my second time. But the reason I'm going back a second time is because we're actually graduating 300 girls and a few boys, because we now have a boys program, from because they do a year long of Real Girl and Real Boy there. And so, I'm really excited, and we're excited to be having this sort of fanfare and celebration for them.
I love that.
Thank you.
So you'll be down there for about 10 days.
10 days, yep.
Great. And we'll get a full report from you when you
I get
come back.
Yes.
I remember last year when you came back, we talked about it on one of the shows, and it was emotional.
It is
what
always
you went
emotional
through.
because it's super inspiring to, just see that, something that you put your blood, sweat, and tears into is having an impact on other humans. But also I think it's important for anybody who lives in a first world country to go to a developing country and get some perspective about what matters. Because I see those kids many of whom are literally like running around the playground with shoes that I'm not even sure how they're staying on their feet, and they are joyful, and it's amazing. And I need to take my own girls there. It does. It's making me emotional right now. Guatemala's a beautiful place. Beautiful people.
I can't wait for you to get back from that, and I want you to have a safe trip when you're down there.
Thank you.
Okay? And I promise not to bother you.
Thank you.
There's no way to bother you.
No, it's really hard to get a hold of me there, which is actually pretty good.
But if there's one person that could, it would be me.
Okay.
One of those kids is going to roll up on you. Hey, someone named Joe Sib wanted me to give you this. And they'll be like, we need to record on this day. There we go. All right, we're going to drop into today's show right now, and it starts out, once again, as always, with a little bit of a story, and I wrote it down.
Joe Sib, out in the world.
Well, Joe Sib, out in the world. I wrote it down. I always when I come up with an idea for a potential show idea, I'll write it in my phone, or I'll write it on a piece of paper. And this came from, I was at the skate park. Nate and I were skating, and if you listen to the show, you know that I still skateboard, and I don't think a lot of our listeners trip out on that, but I just grew up since I was 7, and we still skate. And we were at the park together, and it was towards the end of the session, and this dad rolled up on me, and he knew that I did Rad Parenting. He's like, "Oh man, I love Rad Parenting," and we're talking. I'm like, "Oh, thanks, man, that's cool." And he had his son with him, and he introduced his son to me, and his son looked up, but he was a shy kid. And I didn't really take anything to it because, I understand this big man, standing above you, and we're all in the gear, and it's at the skate park, and it's loud, and there's a million kids, and there's just this energy. So I just was like, yeah, what's up, man? Cool, nice to meet you. And then his dad just kind of pressed the issue, like, shake Joe's hand. And right away, just from doing our shows, I'm like, oh, that's cool, bud. Fist pump. Like, I'm kind of just saying, like, all right, we don't need to shake hands,
Nice.
And you don't have to command. You don't owe me respect because I just literally met you, dude. So like we've talked on the show, I got to earn that. But then the dad, old school dude.
Yeah.
Which might have been me pre-Rad Parenting era, really pushed the thing. Hey, shake Joe's hand. All right. I'm like, dude, do the fist pump. And then it turns into in front of his son right there. He goes, oh man, I don't know what's up with him. He's super shy. I mean, God. And then I could just see the look on the kid's face, like, all right, great. Now you're bringing that into the mix. And as he did it, it just in my head was like, I understand, I think, when someone's shy, but I also, how as a parent, I could see, and I don't want to, I just got to be honest, like I could see the dad side of it.
Yeah.
Like I'm still, even though I've been doing Rad Parenting for the last 2 years, I could, my foot, like I straddled the line, Anaya. Like I could see where he was annoyed. My son won't shake this guy's hand.
Right.
I introduced him, won't even look him in the eye.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Yeah.
And then I also could see like, well, I don't understand what being shy is about, but I have a lot of parents that say their kids are shy. Even I've at my house heard people say like, oh, sorry, he's just shy. He's a shy kid. So I wanted to ask you, I don't understand what being shy is all about. for the parents listening to the show right now, this one's for you. If you've said the same thing people have said, hey, my kid's shy, he's this, he's that, she's this, she's that. Let's throw her on the table. Explain being shy.
Being shy. Okay. So I think this is a really great topic because I think a lot of parents and even like I appreciate you saying like you could feel where the father was coming from, because I think we all want to feel like our kids can be out in the world and can interact in a way that allows them to share who they are in the way that we get to see them, at home when they're themselves and they feel like they're in safe space. So 100%, I think that's a normal feeling as a parent. One of the things that's really important, and I think this is, how I'd like to set this up, is to first of all make a distinction between shyness and introversion. And it's really important to know that distinction as a parent so that because the way that you support a child who is shy versus supporting a child who is introverted are quite different. There's some overlap, but they're quite different, and we want to get it right if we want to support our kids, which I'm assuming everybody listening to this is doing so because that's what we want to be able to do. So
I hope they're not listening to it because they don't want to support their kids.
Right.
I mean, if anyone's I always say, you're in traffic right now, you're listening to an A&I, you're going for a run, we salute you because you're putting the effort in, which is amazing.
And multitasking, which I love. So, okay, so just sort of the basics. Shyness is really an anxiety or fear about having social interactions or being in a social setting. And the anxiety and fear usually comes from I don't feel confident to be myself. I'm afraid of there being negative feedback, or ridicule or shame because I don't get it right, whatever. I'm going to say something and that person's going to think I'm dumb. And so I'm just not going to say anything. That is shyness. Introversion is actually, so we talked, so let's just be clear here. So we talk about extroversion and introversion. Extroversion is more common than introversion. Extroversion being, I am fed by social interaction, right? Joe Sib, Anea Bo, definitely. Introversion is, I am more fed by my inner world, and I don't need the charge of all this social interaction. And in fact, I often find it overwhelming and but not in that way of being shy. It's not like necessarily anxiety causing. It's just that doesn't feed me. I'm much more fed by having really super personal interactions with, say, one or two people than holding court amidst 10 people, right? So the extrovert is fed by the standing holding court by the 10 people, just to really make this super simple. And the introvert is like, I'm happy if I'm either by myself or I'm with another person. It's not fear of doing the opposite. It's just like, that doesn't feel good to me.
Yeah.
And so so let's start with the shyness, right? So shyness can, because it is really coming from a place of fear, sometimes a lack of confidence, sometimes a lack of opportunity and experience with having social interactions. And that's where immediately we can, as parents, the number one tip I'm going to give is create opportunities for your child to build those internal muscles for social interaction. And one of the mistakes, that we often make is either as parents, we do all the talking and decision making for our kids, or if our child is the youngest of one or two or three kids, and so they've got older siblings who are speaking for them, it's very common to find that a younger child speaks later than the firstborn did, because the younger child can just rely on the older
Wow,
sibling to do
that's
the
so
talking.
interesting. Right now, as you're saying that, I'm thinking of a few families that I know of that I've seen that.
Yes.
Because they can just kind of look and give eye contact to the older siblings to communicate what they're looking for, or what they're asking for. Wow, I never
know
even
for
thought
a
of that.
fact I did it with my baby brother, 22 months younger, and I would always just be translating or just telling my mom what he wanted, and so he didn't have to speak any sooner. So if we approach it from that mindset, then what I'm going to suggest is that if you look at shyness, think about shyness as being the result of underdeveloped internal muscles for social interaction.
Keep going.
And
I had to walk over here.
And okay, so yeah, Joe said pausing. You're throwing me off my game.
No,
so.
I know. Sorry about that. I was looking while we were recording, and I was like, man, I hope we're getting all this
Yeah,
right
no
now.
kidding. So okay, so let's make that distinction. So if we think about shyness as is underdeveloped internal muscles and confidence about the ability to use those internal muscles for social interaction, then our main job as parents is to create opportunities to develop those muscles, to create a safe space for them to practice and not get it right every time, and to be constantly encouraging. And it can be through little things like when you go out to dinner, saying, after the family talks about, what your child wants to order, hopefully the kid is saying, here's what I want. I want the fish tacos.
Yeah.
Okay, so when the server comes up to take our order, I want you to tell the server what you want because, you're a big kid. I know you can do this. You've got this. And we're right here with you. And every time that child has the opportunity to use their voice in a somewhat charged social setting and they see their success, those internal muscles will grow and their confidence around using those social muscles will grow.
Okay. I want to interrupt you really quick right there because I want to hear from our sponsor really quick. But when we come back, I want to go over more ideas and tools that we can give our kids that are experiencing maybe this shyness factor. Also, when do you start noticing something like that and begin using those tools?
Okay.
All right. We're talking about being shy, the difference between being shy and what's the big word you used?
Introversion.
All right. Thank you so much for saying that. This is Rad Parenting. Here's a word from our sponsor. Do you ever feel that you do not have enough time in the day to do what you're supposed to get done? You're going to work, you're maybe trying to hit the gym, but you forgot that, I got to pick so-and-so up from daycare. I got to get my dad over to his doctor's appointment. I wanted to pick up the house before I left. Wow, check it out. How am I going to get everything done? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. Go to care.com. Care.com. Care.com is the world's largest digital marketplace for finding and managing family care. That is right. Family care needs can be unpredictable. You got sick kids. You need someone to stay home. Man, both parents are out there trying to make a living. Your kids get sick. Who's going to stay home? Who's going to miss out on that cash? Now you go to care.com and they'll have someone for you that can look after your kids. Don't stress your life away. Seriously, most working parents worry about their kids every minute of the day. You're more at ease and more focused when you know your kids or your parents or even your pets are well cared for. Best part is this, care.com provides access to a variety of background check options you can purchase to help make sure that you're making the best hiring decision. That's my favorite part right there. They're letting you know there's a million different things for you to check out on the background check options so you know who's going to be there with your kids or with your parents, or with your pet taking care of the situation. Care.com. Check it out now. If you go to care.com right now, you ready for this? To save 30% off care.com premium membership, visit care.com/rad parenting when you subscribe, and you're going to get 30% off. Like I said, the world's moving a million miles an hour. You just want to take care of your kids and all the responsibilities. Let care.com help. Sir. Joe Sib and Naya Bogue back with Rad Parenting. We're talking about being shy and a new word that I love to say, introversion.
Introversion. Yep.
Introversion.
Yeah, perfect.
Hey, I got to just throw this out there really quick. For me, when I think of people that were like introverted, I always think of like Joey Ramone from the Ramones. Like he was a very like solo dude, but then how do you explain him being on stage and changing rock and roll and being that like he's the and let's use other entertainers. I'm sure that there's the list of them.
So many like really well known.
How does that work? You love being on stage and creating art and doing all of that, but yet after the show you just want to be alone.
That's right. That's the balance. So and it's because okay, so are we going to go into introversion now, or do you want to finish
okay,
up?
We'll come back.
Because that's a great point, and
okay.
I'm so glad you brought that up because
right.
a lot of people they don't understand introversion for that very reason.
Because I listen and read the emails that people send here.
Yes,
I'm going to listen to them and say, Joe, stay on track. Because this one guy emailed us and he's like, I love the show, but sometimes Joe Sib I don't know where he's going with it. And I deleted that email. No, just kidding. No, I hit him back and I said,
No response for you.
No, you know what I said to him? I go, sometimes I don't know where I'm going. Okay, so let's stay on track.
Okay.
When I went to the break, I said we would come back with some tools that we can teach our kids to work
Yes.
on the shyness. And also, I threw in the question to you, when do you start possibly using these tools with your son or daughter?
Okay.
Did you like that tone I used?
That was brilliant.
Wow, this is NPR.
NPR.
Morning becomes
super
eclectic. So chill.
Okay.
I listen to NPR sometimes just to feel smart.
Or just, I listen to
No, I mean, like, I listen to NPR, and like a lot of times, like when like I park my car, I like just leave it on, the volume on, so people are like, "Damn, dude."
He must be super smart. He's listening to NPR.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so bad. Okay,
Okay.
go.
So there's a couple questions in there. First of all, as with most things, maybe even all things in parenting, I generally think the sooner the better. And as soon as you see signs of like, oh, I can sense that, Billy is freaking out when I see him, and that could even with the separation anxiety, the shyness could be a factor in separation anxiety. I feel safe when I'm with mommy and daddy and I can talk and I can ask for what I want. But when I am in a group of people that are less familiar to me, I immediately feel like anxious because I don't know how to ask for what I want without feeling like I'm going to be ridiculed or I'm going to sound stupid so there's a confidence factor in there too. And
It really sounds like when you're just saying this, it's like it's no different than any other skill that we need to teach our children.
Yes. So if it is about shyness and not introversion, and when I get to introversion, you'll probably see some of the key differences. So if it's clearly like this child is not being social because he or she feels afraid of social interaction and feels unsure of themselves in those to speak up, to use their voice, to ask for what they want, blah, 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 then the number one thing is to create safe opportunities where you can encourage them and guide them to build those internal muscles, to have the actual experience of, okay, I was really afraid that if I said something, that something bad was going to happen, but I just said something and it was okay. Not only was it okay, people responded in a way that I liked. Like I felt like they liked me, or they thought I was funny, or they thought I was smart, or whatever. And at school, I think the older that they get, the more that anxiety can increase if we don't sort of really address it early on and help to build their confidence in their voice and so on. Another thing that we can do is modeling. Like really creating, doing it on our own. It doesn't have to be constant commentary, but if you just use the example that you had, that father going up to you and saying, oh, hey, I think I know you, I listened to your podcast, you're Joe Sib or whatever. Even if the son was totally shy in that moment, there was some benefit in the child seeing his father interact and see that everything was fine.
Yeah, the only thing that kind of made me get a little squirrely on it was when he put his son on the spot, shake the hand, come on, and then said in front of his son, oh gosh,
Yes.
he's shy.
Which
I don't know what's going on with that.
Okay,
and
so
that was the part that I was like, and like I said, I can, I'm not going to lie, back before, doing this with you, I might have been more on that and not really realizing what my words are, how they're feeling to my son, saying, oh gosh, I don't know what's wrong with him.
So couple things. First of all, please check in with yourself as a parent and is the rub about your kid being shy, oh my gosh, this kid is so great. I just wish that he or she would let themselves be seen out in the world so that and that's something you can actually say. I would recommend that there's another tip and a way that you can encourage them to be more outgoing is being like, I think you are so amazing and what we get to see at home of you, I just want other people to be able to share in that. Like you're smart, you're funny, you're blah, blah, blah. So that's one thing. The other motivator, and these things can happen simultaneous, is the ego factor, right? And so that's the thing which we've said from our very first show, the ego, the minute you become aware of it, tune into it, be like, oh, I know what that is. And you, a parent standing there saying, oh yeah, he's so shy or she's so shy, in this annoyed, energy or tone or whatever, is only going to exacerbate what that child is already feeling. Because remember that shyness is coming from a certain anxiety about being in social situations because they feel like they can't do it well. And a parent standing there publicly declaring that way of being is just a nightmare to them or is annoying to them is only going to make that child clam up even more.
The more that you, and deeper that we go into just the whole idea of being shy, what I'm just realizing right now, it is no different than any other skill that you try to teach your kid. And for this analogy, it would be the dad saying, oh, he's not a good skateboarder. I don't know what's up with that. And you're like, well, that's why we're here at the skateboard park.
That's right.
So use that, he has no problem bringing his son to the skateboard park to practice and get better. Hey, this is what you need to do. Create opportunities for your son or daughter that's experiencing this feeling of being shy so that they can get better at using the tools that they need to overcome this fear, which I've never even thought about it. I mean, gosh, I've looked back at kids that were shy and people that I've known that shy almost as like, are they kind of being a jerk right now?
Right, yes. So for people
and I feel so bad saying that now, but I know I have felt that way. Like, why is this guy being a jerk? And now the way that you've outlined it, I know for me, and I hope for the parents that may be experiencing this with their own children, or for the friends that come to the house, and why does this guy so shy, Is he being a creep? No. Imagine that you get anxiety and fear, no different than for some people it's flying on a plane.
That's
like,
right.
How many people do you know that when they freak out on flying? And for you and I would be crushed if I had that feeling. So I always have sympathy for them when there's a guy sitting next to me and I go, why does this guy want to talk to me so much right now? Oh, I get it. I'm his in-flight friend right now.
Yes.
When we land, we are never going to talk again. But right now he wants to show me pictures of his kids. He wants to talk about what he loved in music, where he went to college.
Anything to keep his mind off the fact that he's terrified of flying.
Anything to keep his mind off that we're 25,000 feet in the air in a tin can.
That's
all right. Drinks on me too. Here we go.
So that is a beautiful segue to another tip for parents, is to express empathy, not annoyance.
Okay.
To say, wow, I can see that was really hard for you. And I know what it's like to feel fearful in certain situations. And I want to help you with that. As opposed to, what's wrong with you? Like, you know how to use your voice. Why aren't you speaking up? That's all bad. Okay. So modeling, reinforcing when they do it right, creating opportunities, and doubly reinforcing when they get it right in those opportunities so that they start to see themselves as capable of functioning in a social setting, using their voice, and not always, you can't say, nobody's ever going to be mean when you say something, because we have no control over that. But as they have enough foundation with positive experiences, even if they're primarily coming from their family and the people that love them, where they see, oh wow, I can do that. I can skateboard. I can lift that weight. I can open my mouth and engage in social interaction and not be annihilated by either a positive or a negative outcome, right?
Hey, and you said something a few minutes ago. I just got to backpedal on it really quick. Not backpedal, just step back to it. Your ego, not your amigo. And you know who, I can tell you right now, two dudes that don't ever hang out together, ego and empathy.
Yes.
They are never cruising around together.
Joe,
never, man. And I just realized that when you said that, empathy in these situations as a parent can only exist if you check your ego.
Yes.
Because that dad, and I don't want to, gosh, I hope he's not listening right now. But if he is, what up, bro? I just hope, because he wasn't like being mean, but I could tell maybe his ego was he was wrestling with his ego a little bit in this particular situation. All right.
So now introversion.
Yeah, I was going to say shift gears to introversion.
So
Joe Ramone thing.
Yes.
Artist.
And I mean,
singer,
let me list some others. Warren Buffett, like one of the richest men in the world. Bill Gates, J.K. Rowling. I've heard Christina Aguilera thrown out as a name. Mother Teresa. Like, these are people that have done great things in the world and identify as introverts.
So many comedians that I know are so introverted.
Yes.
And I've recently I heard a comedian say, hey, this is the first time I've talked to anybody today. And he was on stage.
Yeah.
He goes, that's not right. Like that's his, and he's fine with it.
And he's making fun of it, yes.
He's by himself all day long and he loves it. And the first time he says anything to anybody is in front of 500 people.
That's right. Okay, so so first of all, just to give you numbers, like somewhere between, the estimate is 30 to 50% of our population is introverted. So like less than there are extroverts, and that's part of the challenge, right? Is when the majority of people are extroverts, that sort of sets the bar or the expectation for how people move through the world. So for all of you extroverts out there, if you can imagine that feeling of, wow, I need to like get out of the house and talk to somebody. Like I need to go to the grocery store, or I need to like pick up the phone and talk to, my parents or my friends or whatever.
I gotta have communication with someone.
That's right. Because I'm feeling like I'm getting a little loopy, and I feel fed by that hit of the interaction with other people. For an introvert, that same, like what they need, what they are fed by is alone time. Me time. So it's not a like, oh, I'm scared of the world. It's not that at all. It is, my soul is fed. I feel most comfortable and most myself when I can either be just with myself or with one or two people. And I can certainly stretch, and I can be in big social settings, Joey, Ramon, Greg's, thousands and thousands of people in the audience. But then what that person will need, so again, to be clear, an introvert is not somebody who never goes out into the world. It's that what feeds their soul, what feeds their sense of comfort is to have more alone time. And when an introvert has to be out in social settings for an extended period of time, it doesn't mean they're going to freak out. It means that they need to then balance that with alone time. To sort of like replenish their stores. It's no different than the two recharging that we're talking about. Talking about an extrovert that needs to recharge by being around people and gets their balance there. And you're talking about the introvert that needs to have their alone time to get their balance there. Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. So there is nothing wrong with it. And in fact, it's so critical that parents recognize when their child is an introvert. And I'm going to give you a few bits here, but you can go online and just search like, what are the qualities of an introvert? And if you identify your kid as an introvert, there are just such important things you can do as a parent.
So before you go into that, so there really is a difference between being shy and being introverted. What you're saying, just so I know, shy, tools can be given, things can be practiced to overcome that.
So shy, anxiety, or fear of being in a social setting. Introversion, that's preference to be alone, but not fear of being out with a lot of people, just not fed by being out with a lot of people. Okay. Got it. So very different things. And
so the kid that's introverted might have been like, "What's up, Joe?" With the skateboard dad.
Yep.
Yeah. What's up, Joseph? Nice to meet you. That's cool. I'm like, yeah. What's up, man? Do you want to skate more now? No, I'm gonna go and sit in the car.
Yeah. I got a book. I'm gonna go.
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay.
Exactly.
God.
Yay. You got it. That's okay, exactly it. Whereas the shy kid is like, oh my God, I just don't want to be around this. I can't believe my dad is making me shake his hand. I just don't want to do this right now. What's going to happen? Blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
Okay.
Never even thought of that or knew that. I am going to be a great grandpa.
Yay.
I'm going to crush it when I have grandkids. Okay.
So in terms of what we can do, so if you've identified in hearing this podcast, or you've already kind of been suspecting it because you had a sense of introversion so here's what you can do for the introverted child to support them. First and foremost, acknowledge that it's a beautiful thing. Like it's no different than if you've got one kid that is really musically inclined and another kid that's really athletically inclined. You're not saying, oh my God, it's so great that you're an athlete. It's so great your brother's an athlete. Too bad you're just, a really talented musician. They both have their values, and it's really important because of our society being predominantly extroverted that your introverted child gets positive reinforcement that they're seen, that they're heard, and that their way of being in the world is valued and supported. The most obvious part of that being that you are encouraging and supporting that child's need for time alone to recharge. And it also means that another sign of an introverted child is a kid who tends to be more in observer mode than in active socializing mode, right? So if you you're at a school event or you're at a birthday party or a family function, and you see your kid kind of just off on the sidelines, maybe with one other person, maybe by themselves, and they're just sort of taking it in. Unless they're like coming to you shaking like, I really want to go play with the other kids, but I don't know what to say, or you go up to your kid and be like, why are you sitting over here by your own? And the introvert would be like, oh, I'm just chilling. Like, I really like it over here. I'm just watching what everybody's doing. Whereas the shy kid is going to be like, well, I really want to go play, but I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Okay. So just to further reinforce the difference, I'm
that
sure
totally
people are
makes sense.
Okay. So acknowledging that there are introversion is not abnormal and that it's a beautiful, powerful thing, and that the sooner that child recognizes that there's a name and it's a quality that he or she needs to honor and feed in an appropriate way, the better you will set them up to function, to be a high functioning human being, which is again part of our goal. We want to be aware that when we do go into social settings, that they're probably going to want to sit and observe and take things in before they dive in, if they dive in. And there should be no shaming of, well, all the other kids were playing. Why were you sitting on the sidelines? Again, checking your ego. Wow, does it look like I'm a bad parent, or I've got this screwed up kid that, he or she is on the sideline while the other kids are playing? Right?
So many times I've thought that.
Yep. Definitely remind the child, and this is part of like giving permission and supporting the need for alone time, that if you've just been out as a family or you've been at a big family event, that, you say to the kid, like, we're probably going to watch a movie, but if you want to go like have some time to read in your room or whatever, we totally get it. Or if the kid initiates and says, yeah, you guys watch the movie, I'm going to go in my room and read my book, that there's no like, oh, come on, we're having a family day. Why can't you be with us? The kid has just been in a really uncomfortable for him or her situation for a number of hours, and it's literally like an energy drain, and they need to go and plug themselves in.
Everything you're saying right there, when I just think about my own kids, I don't think they're either one of it, but there's been moments where they've needed those breaks.
Yep.
And I may have been like, come on downstairs.
So
yeah, got it. I just love how you've shedded light on being an introvert isn't a bad thing. And that there's a real difference between being an introvert and being shy. I mean, that's what I take away from this whole episode right now. I did not know that. I thought it was the same thing. Always shy, he's introverted, I don't know, loves to be by himself.
Right.
Later.
And don't call an introvert, don't say that an introverted child is shy. Don't say, oh, come on, you're just being shy. No, they're not. They're just taking care of themselves. They're moving through the world in a way that feeds their soul, that makes sense to them, that allows them to take in information and process it. And it just happens to be in a different way, but it's no less potent or healthy than the way an extroverted child would move through the world.
I think if I could do it over again, I want to be introverted.
Another lifetime, Joe.
Yeah,
because that's
when I
not
come
you.
back, I want to be
You're
introvert.
going to be an introvert.
So there's no way that we can turn into an introvert now? Has that ship sailed?
I think so. I think it's just not because a lot introversion is genetically predetermined. Like, or not
really?
Not let me rephrase that. Not genetically. It is a biological. There is different brain wiring in an introvert and an extrovert.
Okay.
So it's not something that is like socially determined, is really what I'm trying to say. And so it's important to recognize that and know that, in fact, to encourage them to be pushing against their biological programming, the way that their brain naturally wants to work and how it functions at its highest, to push back against that is to actually compromise your child's potential instead of encouraging and giving them a strong foundation to reach their highest potential.
Hey, and not to, this could be a whole other episode, is that if you push too hard on the introvert, like, oh, come on, you got to be this, you got to be that. That's where I think like, all right, I started drinking 3 beers and then I wasn't so introverted anymore. I'm making a joke about that, but I mean, that could, if you push someone hard enough, they're going to be like, well, everyone says I need to be this.
That's right.
What makes me feel more like that because I shouldn't be, who I am as an introvert? Wow.
That is so important. And I have personally known introverts who didn't know, they didn't identify as that. Nobody was telling them like, look, you're not shy and there's nothing wrong with you. This is who you are. They're introverts, they're extroverts, and celebrate that and be you, as opposed to a person, and this happens, thinking there's something wrong with them and then having to use substances as an example to pull them out of that to be like everybody else. So now there's a double whammy. Like, not only is it just detrimental that they're not honoring who they are and working in line with that or in sync with that, but now they're also introducing harmful substances to their body to try to be something they're not. We don't want to set our kids up for that.
Wow, Anaya, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Really learned a lot on this episode. Once again, my takeaway with being shy, totally different the being introverted. Did not know that. Learned that for the first time right now. Loved how you basically brought up again, checking our ego at the door, being empathetic for both situations. Hey, letting our kids find the tools and helping them get into situations for the children that are shy to learn those tools so they can overcome that anxiety. That would be a nightmare. Could you imagine if you were, growing up at the skate park, going to school every day, and you had anxiety of being around people because you felt like if you said what you said, the words that come out of your mouth would be stupid. I mean, I've gone through life saying stupid things my whole entire life. I feel great about myself. So that would just be a nightmare. I've made money. I make money saying stupid things through I'll be doing it tonight at Brea Improv, 8:00. And I learned so much about introverts. I'm going to celebrate the introverts in my life. I think I'm married to an introvert because I find her a lot of time. Karen, all kidding aside, I know that Karen is that person. And opposites attract, but she's very good, and I've been good with being together with her for 20 years to know when she says, hey, I need some time, and she goes upstairs, she wants to read, she wants to chill, she doesn't need the energy of me and the rest of us in her life at that moment. Comes down, she's recharged, and we continue on, whereas in the past, I would be lying to you if I didn't know that when we first started dating. Like, what's wrong? Why are you up here?
Yes.
What's going on? You don't want to hang out? Come on. We got everyone downstairs.
Oh my gosh. Can we just throw that into never take it personally as a parent? The shyness or the introversion, not to be taken personally.
Oh, man.
Your child is a separate being.
Yeah.
Encourage them, help them, support them to be the best they can be.
I love that. All right. Great show. Thank you guys. First of all, thank everyone for listening to the show. I know we say that each and every week, but we mean it so much. It has been a blast. We're coming up on our 100th episode. I believe this is 88. So
wow.
It's crazy to think that we're that close to it. Keep the emails coming in. radparenting@gmail.com. Continue the texts. Text the word parenting to 31 31 31. And anything that's on your mind regards to the show, never hesitate to email us and let us know. radparenting@gmail.com. My name is Joe Sib.
And Anea Bogue.
We're out of here.
Late.